So we are here with Sean Robinson from Panasonic. We're here at the Lumix booth at PhotoPlus Expo. Sean, we'd love to hear about some of the new stuff that Panasonic has come out with recently. I know you guys have the LX10 that we're going to talk about first.
Yeah, so this is the brand new LX10. This is the upgrade to the LX7, one of the more popular cameras that we created. Some of the big improvements are that we're now a 1-inch 20 megapixel chip. We've got a 24 to 75 millimeter 1.4 to 2.8 lens. We've added a flip screen on it that's fully touch integrated, as well as some pretty cool features around the 4K world. So 4K video in 24 and 30 frame that also breaks out into 4K photo and post-focus with in-camera focus stacking.
So it's pretty much in line with all the other Panasonic cameras in terms of the 4K capability. Now in terms of that lens, I feel like that 1.4 is really what makes this camera a standout. You said it's a 1.4 to 2.8 range.
Exactly, yeah.
Certainly very respectable there. How does shallow depth of field on the camera? Obviously it's a 1-inch sensor, but if you're talking fairly close subjects,
Yeah, so if at 24 millimeter, you're a 1.4, so getting nice and close to a subject, you can get that really nice thrown out of focus background. Great for close-up macro work, but then even at 75 millimeter at 2.8, you get some of that nice compression, even though you're on a 1-inch sensor, so you can still get some nice separation of background.
And in terms of ND filters, there's none built into that camera, right?
Unfortunately, there's no ND filters on this one.
Okay, but you do have another sort of compact system camera that does have that, and that brings us to our next camera, right?
Correct, yeah. So we have the FZ2500. This is the upgrade to the FZ1000. This one brings in the in-camera ND filters with a little slide lever here. It's in 3 stops, so you have 2, 4, and 6 stop NDs, as well as an auto ND. Still adding a lot of the same 4K features that we've seen us add from other cameras and throughout. But probably the coolest thing about this one is picture this as a compact fixed lens GH4. This camera allows you to shoot 422 10-bit over HDMI, 422 8-bit while recording internally and outputting the 8-bit, 420 8-bit internally. It allows you to have the Vlog L upgrade purchasable for it, which will be a $99 charge. But also, with the new lens design, once you power the camera on, the lens extends. That's the furthest it ever extends out. So the focusing system is now built internally, and it's more like a camcorder in that regard.
So would you say you're kind of targeting this camera as sort of a kind of compact camcorder replacement, or?
So with the FZ2500, we're kind of inadvertently really speaking to the video crowd. But there's a ton of still shooters that have really been expressing interest in it because it's 20 megapixel, 24 millimeter wide angle at 2.8 with the lens. It's 480 at super telephoto at 4.5. So you're still getting a really good aperture range through the whole setup in a relatively compact design.
Is the market sort of pro SLR users tired of carrying their interchangeable lens camera around all the time, or sort of people moving up to a camera with a large sensor for the first time?
So we're kind of seeing a mix of that. What we're finding is we get a lot of stills and video shooters that want to get kind of an all-in-one package that has a good balance for weight and size to supplement their system.
Right.
So someone who's shooting with a GH4 or a G85 or a camera like that, but then wants to get something that they could throw up on a drone or on a stabilizer that's all in one and not have to carry the whole system with them, the FZ we're finding is fitting in that perfect little niche right there.
Is there 5-axis image stabilization on that?
Yeah, so this one uses a hybrid 5-axis system. So it uses the optical stabilization and the sensor stabilization. So that out at that 480 millimeter, you're getting some pretty rock solid video and stills.
Okay, so going to the interchangeable lens cameras, we have the G85, right?
That is correct. Adding to the G series cameras, we've now upped our game again with the G series system. So at Photokino, we announced the G85. This is an upgrade from the G7, but it really made a ton of major usability performance enhancements and design enhancements. So the biggest one is we're weather sealed now. You can see we have a battery grip that's available for it as well. We kept the same batteries. Small little things like we moved the memory card slot outside of the battery door now, so you can actually access it while you're shooting. But also we added the 5-axis image stabilizer that's in the GX5 that pairs with the optic stabilizer for dual IS2. It's the second generation of that. What that gives us is 5-stop handheld capability out at 280 millimeter field of view. So, you know, you're talking shooting in 1/8 of a second, and it's rock steady.
Now, you mentioned the GX85. Does this share the same sensor and shutter mechanism?
Correct, yes. So the G85 is carrying the same sensor, the same new shutter mechanism, so that pretty much any existence of shutter shock is gone with these cameras, and pretty much most mirrorless cameras, when you switch to this style, it's minimized to where it's less than what an SLR gives you with mirror slap. So pretty much for the whole compact system, you've got a 5-axis stabilized sensor that allows live preview while you're shooting video, while you're shooting stills, so you're seeing it in the viewfinder. If you're one of the video guys and you're adapting lenses to this thing, you see it even with your adapted lenses. So it's a pretty solid improvement.
So that kind of completes what you're allowed to talk about, but let's talk about the elephant in the room here, the GH5. Now, I know you're probably not going to be able to tell me much. You have some floor samples here, but they're not actually working cameras.
Exactly.
So what can you tell me that I may not already know, and then just recap what I already do know?
So unfortunately, I can't tell you anything new. But as we made in the press release, the GH5 is going to record 422 10-bit internal. It's going to be able to do 4K 60 frame internal, as well as we're adding an expansion of the 4K photo world. So it's 4K photo at 60 frames per second, and we're now adding 6K photo, which will produce approximately an 18 megapixel image in either a 4:3 or a 3:2 aspect ratio. Internal at 30 frames per second as well.
That's amazing. And I'm not sure if you're announcing this. I'm assuming there's no 6K video support yet, right?
Unfortunately, I cannot comment on that side of the conversation.
Okay. All right, we'll have to stay tuned. But Sean from Panasonic, thank you so much for talking with us today.
No problem.
All right, thank you.